It's Anna, Head of Events at Fashion Shop, and today I'm really happy to introduce you a new format of events that we came up with the committee. So we decided to digitize our interview events that we would normally do in classrooms, etc., because we're seeing a lot of demand for videos and more digital content. So today we have a really cool guy, a founder of a fashion app. So yeah, just enjoy the video and leave your feedback in the comment section because it's really valuable for us.
Hello, my name is Rory and I'm the CEO at OwnKind. We mobilise your wardrobe. So we, with our app, allow you to get your wardrobe onto your phone using just the images that already live on your phone. Anything in your camera roll, anything you've posted to Instagram, anything on iCloud, even save media from WhatsApp. Upload it, press a button, and we edit out the items from your images. From there, you can resell your items, you can give and receive personal styling advice, as well as planning and tracking your outfits.
Okay, Rory, thank you so much for coming today. We're really pleased to have you. And the first question, of course, relates to how the idea came up. What was the inspiration behind the business? So take us through that, please.
Sure. Well, firstly, thank you very much for having me. It's really cool to be here, and it's really cool to get your guys' thoughts on what we're doing. So the genesis was that my girlfriend works in fashion. She has so much stuff, it's everywhere. Yet when she comes to pack a suitcase or get ready to go out, she takes a long time, she gets stressed out, and she ends up saying, I've got nothing to wear. And I just thought this can't be the case. Mm-hmm. So I kind of looked into it and realized that a lot of other people were experiencing the same problems. We came across statistics like the average woman spends 2 hours every week standing in front of her wardrobe trying to work out what to wear. UK shoppers alone have 30 billion pounds worth of unworn items in their wardrobes. And we realised a lot of it is about visibility, so not being able to see what you have, where it is, when you last wore it. So that was the kind of conception.
And do you remember those styling apps like Folivore, for example?
Yes.
They were super popular when I was, 15 years old. So like 4 years ago, for example. They were just on peak. And I was wondering to what extent you were inspired by them in a way as well?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting question because where we are now, we spent the last 2 years really trying to nail the problem of how you get your items onto your phone. Mm-hmm. So everyone kind of seems to agree that once you've got your wardrobe on your phone, there's lots of stuff you can do with it, right? There's lots of fun, exciting things you can do. But the problem is how do you get those items onto your phone in a low friction, low cost, quick way, which until now we don't really think anyone has been able to crack. And Folivore, it's not your items, it's items from the Folivore database. But now that we feel we've got a really good solution to that issue of getting your items onto your phone, we're now looking very closely at what Folivore used to do, what Matillo used to do, which is another one that kind of went under, to see how we can go from more of a kind of single player platform to a community-based platform. So once you've got your items on your wardrobe, maybe giving and receiving styling advice via the platform, whether it's publishing your outfits or giving access to a friend, to show them what you have, and things like that. So yeah, we've been looking at Folivore for a long time and a few other platforms in that space.
So what was kind of the key to cracking this uploading game? So what was the difficulty and how did you resolve it?
Yeah, so we've gone through various iterations. So, it's been pretty difficult. We started off looking at email extraction, which is what a company called Finery, who have just been bought by Stitch Fix in the US, did. So you would give their software access to your Gmail. Okay. It looks for e-receipts like, do not reply at Chanel.com, thank you for buying these black flannel trousers. It takes that information, Chanel black flannel trousers, and tries to find the correct image of those Chanel black flannel trousers online and put it straight into your inbox. That is super hard to do. It's really hard to find the right images. So that was our first attempt. Our second attempt was more about learning how people really want this to work. Mm-hmm. So we would send a team around to your house. We would go into your wardrobe with you and photograph all of your items manually, then leave, edit the images, tag them and upload them for you, and just deliver you a kind of digitized wardrobe. You don't need to go and take a whole bunch of new items or all your stuff. You can make a really good start just using the images that already live on your phone.
But how difficult is that in terms of artificial intelligence?
Really difficult, really difficult. So we've had to generate a lot of training examples. We've had to put a lot of resource into the software, and we've still got more work to do on that front. But yeah, really, really pleased with progress so far.
Would you say it's accurate right now? So like if I just take a picture in regular lighting, not professional lighting, just in the mirror in my bathroom, would it still look good?
We'll get you really good results. And so at the moment, there's still a bit of a processing time, so that won't happen instantly. There's still a kind of up to a 12-hour processing time for that to happen at the moment, because we obviously want to make sure that your result goes through a kind of vetting process. So we want to make sure that what you see is top quality. So at the moment we still have kind of manual validation of all the images that go through the platform.
I see. So because most of our viewers will be students, obviously, so like they're dying to know what's the most kind of helpful thing education-wise in terms of building your own business. So like maybe talk about your background in education, how it helped you with the startup.
I have a bit of a kind of strange past, I guess. So I did languages at uni. I did one previous startup just after I left uni. That one didn't work. I was trying to study to get into law school at the same time, which is, you know, it's really hard to try and juggle both things and you just end up exhausted. Then I went to law school, became a lawyer, decided I didn't want to do that. So then I went to business school in Spain for 2 years and came back from there in June 2017 and have been doing this in the 2 years since. For me, what the most useful stuff has been, I mean, business school was great, but I would say that the most useful thing is go do it. So if you can kind of get experience working at a startup, you know, the earlier the better. I mean, it's super chaotic. You make a whole bunch of mistakes, but you know, I found that that's the best way to learn. Because even after business school, I came out and I had all this kind of academic learning. And you know, so you've seen all of these graphs where everything goes up and to the right, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, this will happen. But real life is much more like
exactly.
So, so you know, there's been a big adjustment from my experience going from the kind of academic training side to actually getting out there on day one, not knowing what to do, and just kind of going for it, learning from our mistakes. And kind of setting up to learn from our mistakes as well. And
in terms of like, you went to business school, law school, so your education wasn't necessarily like fashion related, so you didn't build like a connection space in the fashion industry. So like, I'm just curious, how do you enter the industry that's so cliquey and connection based without connection?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's definitely been difficult. So the first thing I did was find a co-founder, and that was someone who was from a fashion background. So that's been really helpful. Definitely now that we feel like we've got the product right, and we're going from kind of product to marketing, I guess, to kind of market penetration, I guess, if you will, then I think that becomes increasingly important. So I said that we're trying to grow the team, we're trying to grow it, especially on the fashion side. I have been able to get B2B meetings, but like meetings with, you know, with
business to business,
yeah, exactly. But you know, but with brands or with retailers and stuff. But there's definitely that element of like, who are you? Why are you obsessed with wardrobes? And for a while I would like launch into my founder story. It's like, you know, because this is such a big problem that we can solve and stuff. But then I met this a German woman once who I was hoping was going to be a client, and I launched into my founder story. So no, why are you doing this? Like, why do you want to know what's in my wardrobe? And I was like, okay, that's what people have been asking me all this time.
It's a bit stereotypical because they think that you're a guy and you're not interested in fashion per se. And
that's it, right? And I guess, you know, the pro side of that is that you can kind of strip out the bias. So I can look at it and go, okay, well, this isn't necessarily about how I would want this to work. This isn't necessarily about solving my own problems, which could maybe lead you down the path of doing things for yourself and like making decisions with emotion.
Exactly.
So I can you know, be quite kind of analytical, look at, you know, design these experiments, look at the data and say, okay, well, look, are we doing the right thing or not? But then obviously, you know, sometimes I'll suggest something, and luckily I've got my co-founders be like, no, that is not the one. You know, when like in the beginning I was like, you know, it should be really functional, we can worry about design later. She's like, no, we cannot, like, this is fashion, it has to look really good from the go. So I'm really lucky to have her, and really looking forward to kind of building out that side of the team. Yeah, you know, people are pretty cool. there's definitely another thing that I've learned is that you definitely have an amount of goodwill. So, you know, there are people who we know from 2 years ago who at the beginning they're like, can you go for a coffee with me, just tell me what you think, look at this, give me advice, help put me in contact with these people, and they're great. But then if, you know, I'm still going back to the same person maybe 6 months later and still asking for favours and stuff, it's a bit much, right? So you kind of have to be careful how you use that goodwill and when you use it.
I also want to ask you like more technical questions in terms of, for example, your target audience, because when I was looking through the app, I wasn't sure whether it's more targeted towards people who work in the fashion industry, so like professional stylists or personal stylists, or just like regular people like me, students, young people mainly, or is it like a completely different age demographic?
The kind of people that are maybe interested in resale might be your mid to high net worths who have items that hold value, and maybe they're concerned about being seen in the same item at separate social events by the same people or something like that. But they're not necessarily your early adopters, right? Because they're not really digital natives, and they've probably just got to grips with Instagram. They're really not that bothered about a new app that, you know, someone's trying to tell them is really clever. And then on the flip side, you've got your digital natives who'll pick up the app, ding, 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 get it within 2 seconds. But then resales may be less appealing because, you know, Depop already works so well.
Exactly, yeah.
It's pretty low friction. So maybe that's less interesting. But for them, what we're finding is that it can be quite a cool method of self-expression. So publishing outfits that you've put together from your own wardrobe, and then combining that with kind of wishlist items, and also styling peers. So, you know, especially for your up and coming stylists, this is a really cool way for, you know, for them to kind of showcase what they can do, how they think about putting looks together. And then the other one, which you also mentioned, is your kind of personal stylist. For them, this has a really strong fit because, you know, at the moment they might be WhatsApping, you know, photos of items or outfits all over the place, and we can add so much context to that conversation. We can allow them to start their clients on the go, you know, from their phone, rather than having to go around to their residence, go into their house, go into their wardrobe, start pulling things out, flat laying outfits on the floor, taking a photo of those.
A bit on monetization actually, because that's always interesting, and like it's always behind the scenes. So many apps are just using ads, obviously, in-app ads to monetize. Is that something that you're doing as well? No,
it's not, and it's not something that we want to do, because I feel like that really pollutes the user experience. You know, like it's kind of annoying. You know, like Duolingo, I love as an app. You have to go through so many ads. It's kind of frustrating. So, you know, if we can avoid trying to monetize that way, then we certainly will. I think especially, you know, a consumer-facing fashion app is probably like the most tricky thing that you could do. It's such a noisy space. So anything that you do that pollutes the user experience, I think, is really going to damage.
Can turn the user off, basically.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so we really want to try and avoid that. So monetization, we have a pro seller account on Vestiaire Collective. So users who use our platform to quickly and easily get their stuff sold through Vestiaire, they don't lose anything, but we do get a cut. So for resellers, one of our methods of monetization.
And yeah, you mentioned that there is like a styling advice option via the app.
Yeah.
So how does that work exactly?
So at the moment, it's kind of controlled by us. So if you're a user with Own Kind, you just send us a DM on Instagram, and you say, I'd love to give, or I'd love to receive a styling session, and we'll find someone who has a similar wardrobe profile to you, put you in touch, and then we give you a kind of time-limited access to their account. So the stylist will see the client's account within the app. There will be, the client will have set up an event, so it might be like date night and the name of a London restaurant. So the stylist can go in, see, you know, the vibe of the event, the vibe of the location, then go through the client's wardrobe and start putting together a couple of outfit options. And again, they can add in new items. So, you know, it might be, I really like your jacket and your shoes and your jeans, but I know this brand that makes these really cool t-shirts. I think it really, complement the look. Put that into a digital wardrobe, which again is just a click. Put the link to buy it in the notes section of that item within the app, and then what we try and do is turn that into kind of a bit of video content as well. With the stylist and client permission, so that that we can post that and other people can see what these styling sessions look like online. So there's a few Instagram stories and stuff that have been flying around of these styling stories, but.
We have a lot going on.
We got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
You mentioned earlier the sustainability aspect, explicitly you mentioned that. So to what extent this inspired you in the first place, or was it more of an add-on thing?
So I think, I think it's really important. I think, I guess for me, the core of technology is that it makes things more efficient, right? Mm-hmm. And by making things more efficient, we make them better. And that doesn't just have to be limited to money or to time. I think, increasingly we should be looking to technology for sustainability, because, everything that we can do more efficiently should be beneficial. And kind of this is kind of baked into the initial vision, really, because one of the biggest pollution issues we have in the fashion industry is dead inventory. Mm. And one of the biggest causes of dead inventory is poor demand forecasting. So typically you have a merchandiser who goes, okay, well look, we sold 100,000 items of this particular style last season. This is pretty similar to that, so let's, up it by 10% and make 110,000. It's wildly inefficient, and brands will often end up with what I think the average is something like 20% dead inventory. So that means of all of these 110,000 items they've manufactured, 20% will end up not selling at full price, not selling in any discount period, and literally end up just, they need to get out of their warehouses.
Okay, on that note, on the sustainability note, I think it's a great note to end on. So thank you so much for the interview. It was so insightful.
Thank you. And if I could just say one thing, so we would love to get any kind of feedback, and we would love to get the King's Fashion Society using the app. So we put so if you search the App Store, it's unfortunately iOS only at the moment. If you search the App Store for Ownkind, you need a referral code to sign up. So we've given you guys a bespoke referral code to give you early access to the app today.
Amazing.
So it's all up and running, but we're restricting access at the moment, but we would love to give you guys access, and we'd love to hear what you think. And our Instagram is @own.kind.
Yeah, all the socials will be tagged. The code will be there. Yeah. Thank you so much.